Well, here it is, April 18th, 2024, and I have a question for the family, Murphy families. Uh, was Lisa's motorhome part of the H.L. Family Trust and funds to be spent on fixing up the property for 4042 Phoenix Street? Well, let's see. If it was part of the family trust, then how are the funds to be dispersed? Let's see what was in Dad's will. This is page 6 of Dad's will, and it says clearly that the four people are Greg, Lori, Patrick, and Lisa are the beneficiaries of his will. So notice the last sentence though. It says, if one of the above beneficiaries is not then living, then his or her share of the trust estate shall instead be distributed to their surviving beneficiaries, share and share alike. So their share of the trust estate shall be distributed to the surviving beneficiaries, Greg, Lori, and myself. That's what the trust says, if it's part of a trust. So let's look further into it. So if that were the case, then Lori would get $5,000, Greg and myself as part of the family trust, and we're the beneficiaries, all three of us. However, Trevor did a lot of work. He did advertising, fixed up the home, did some cleaning, helped out with the sale, did a good job. So Greg offered him a 20% commission, $3,000. And that's fine. I'm glad for him, really. So I didn't really initiate that. It was done totally at Greg's choice. Lori and myself were not, requested or consulted. So that's his choice to do that. So that leaves him only $2,000, since he gives $3,000 of that inheritance from Lisa's gift, the $2,000, and Lori gets $5,000. I get $5,000. But we want to try to be helpful to each other. That's what a trust is about. We're supposed to trust each other, helpful each other. So what if Lori and myself wanted to help our brother out, Greg, and give him $1,000 each out of our funds from Lisa's gift? Well, then Greg would get $4,000 instead of $2,000. Trevor gets the same. And now Lori would get only $4,000 and myself. But that's helping Greg out. That's one way to look at it, and that seems to be valid if the motorhome were part of the trust account. But it was actually Lisa's personal motorhome. She could have offered that motorhome to one of her friends, Amy or Darlene. She could have offered it to her neighbor. It was hers to give away. So it doesn't seem like, she offered it to fix up the home of the trust home. It was her personal possession. So if Trevor, would still like that $3,000, and Greg gets $2,400, why $2,400 instead of the $4,000? Well, that's because who's part of the family? Well, when Lisa said to Trevor, and Trevor's our witness, that Lisa told Trevor that the motorhome should go to the family, wasn't Trevor included in part of the family? Of course. Well, if Trevor's included in part of the family, then of course Greg Andrew. See that? Greg Andrew would get $2,400. Andrea, she's part of the family, she would get $2,400. Greg Ivan would get $2,400. Lori would get the same, and I would get the same. Everybody would get $2,400 except Trevor gets $3,000. He did most of the work. But Greg did some helping along with it. What if we were helped our brother out, Greg, and give him $100 each from Andrea and his son Greg, Andrew, and Lori and me? Well, then he would get $2,800 if both Andrea, Greg Andrew, Lori, and myself give him $100 each. That would give him an extra $400, so we would get less. Andrea would only get $2,300, and Greg Andrew, Lori, and myself would only get $2,300. But we're helping Greg out because he took the funds and was able to go to DMV, do the work there, go down to Allstate, get the funds transferred and collected. So we're giving him a generous bonus reward of $400. Not bad for a few hours' work of just taking care of that. So if he got $2,800, that's fine. That all adds up to $1,500. So let's take a little further, though. Now, Andrea put $325 into it. So now, if we, four of us, put like $80 in each. If Greg Ivan put $80 in, Greg Andrew put $80 in, Lori and myself, and say I put $85 in. Well, that adds up to $325. So Andrea should be reimbursed for the locksmith fee. And that means that Andrea would get $2,625 instead of the $2,300 up here. She gets this $2,625 added to her amount instead of $2,300. Greg Andrew would get, instead of $2,300, $2,220. Lori would get $2,220, and I'll take the $2,215. Does that sound reasonable and fair? Trevor still gets his $3,000. Greg Ivan gets $2,720, more than everybody except for Trevor. And it's okay. Is that fair? That adds up to $15,000, just as Lisa requested for her gift. But there's other questions involving. Did Lisa's want her gift for her family to be spent fixing Dad's home? No, not really. So the other questions involved are, what if some of the funds are already spent on 4042 Phoenix Street, which I'm sure they are. Some of the money has already gone to fix up the home. I don't think that, I don't think anybody would agree that it should have been done that way. Lisa's gift spent on fixing Dad's home was supposed to go to the family, individuals. Any remaining funds should be immediately dispersed to the family funds, meaning each member of Lisa's family would get what's left of the remaining funds. But the funds that were spent already on the house should be reimbursed to the family. And we can do that by taking proceeds from the sale of Dad's house, 442 Phoenix Street, and distribute it to the family immediately after the sale. Does that sound reasonable? Does that sound fair? Well, I really, welcome your thoughts, everybody's thoughts, and please contact me for further questions. And I've been praying that everything turns out fine, that everybody's happy. So there could be some adjustments, what is everybody's thoughts on this? It seems like that's the most fair way that I could think of. But I welcome everybody's thoughts. Thanks for watching.